and welcome to the last part of our topic on thermochemistry. In the previous session, we discussed about how we do calculations in calorimetry, as well as looked at some definitions that involve enthalpy changes. Now, in this part, we are going to be looking at the calculation for enthalpy changes using Hess's law and bond energy. So let's check this out. Is a second way of calculating the enthalpy changes. So if we recall, number one, the first method of calculating enthalpy change was calorimetry. We use this method when we are given the mass, specific heat capacity, and change in temperature. Now, if you look at example number one, you can see that the information we are given here is the information on the energy of the reactant and the energy of the product. So on the reactant side, the bonds are being broken and energy is absorbed. While on the product side, bonds are formed and energy is released. So when we are calculating the enthalpy change using the heat of reactant and heat of product, this is the formula that we are going to be using. Enthalpy change is equal to heat of the product minus heat of the reactant. So notice that the product is only one. Okay, we have phosphoric acid, 4 moles of that. So if you look at the table given on the right hand side, information about the heat of the product of phosphoric acid, which is minus 1277 kilojoules per mole. So since there are 4 moles of phosphoric acid, we are going to multiply this energy by 4. Okay, so this is how the equation would read as now. 4 moles of the heat of product minus the heat of the reactant. So we have two reactants. So therefore we are going to add the enthalpies of these two reactants. Okay, so that would be the heat of 6 moles of water. So that is 6 times H2O plus the heat of P4O10. Okay, so that is what we have here. Now let's substitute our values. So when we substitute it, this is what we get. Right, so let's just summarize it and solve it up. So our enthalpy change comes to negative 408 kilojoules. So what kind of reaction do you think this is? Is it exothermic or endothermic? Well, since we are given the enthalpy changes are negative, this reaction is exothermic. But the reason why it is exothermic is because the heat of the product is less than heat of the reactant. Example number 2 now. In example number 2, again we are given the information of the heat of the reactant and the heat of the product. So all we have to do is to bring this equation down and we are going to combine the heat of the product. So heat of SiO2 plus heat of water, 2 moles of water. Okay, that will be the heat of the product minus heat of the reactant. So heat of SiH4 plus heat of O2. So this is how it will read as. Now just substitute our values. SiO2, the heat of the product is minus 911 plus that of water, because SiO2 and water are both products, so we are going to put the sum of here. Okay, we're going to combine these two. So 2 times the enthalpy of water, which is negative 286, minus the heat of the reactant. So since we have two reactants, the heat of SiH4, which is minus 34, plus the heat of oxygen, which is 0. So now if you simplify this equation, we will get the enthalpy change as minus 1449 kilojoules. Again, because we can see that the negative sign has appeared, it basically tells us that the reaction is exothermic. Why is the negative sign there? Why is the reaction exothermic? Because the heat of the product is less than heat of the reactant. The third way we can calculate the enthalpy change of a reaction is using Hess's law. Hess's law basically tells us that in going from a particular set of reactant to a particular set of product, the enthalpy change of the reaction is going to be the same. Never mind the reaction takes place in one step or a number of steps. So what it basically means in simple term is this. Let's look at this reaction here. There is a reaction, okay, which is involved in the formation of product that is associated with the production of product B. We can use the following routes. Okay, so we can convert reactant A to reactant B directly by reacting it with something. That's one way of calculating the enthalpy change. Okay, the other one is when you have reactant A changing into a product, a minor product, which is an intermediate, and that intermediate may react with something to give you the product B. So here in route 2 you have two steps. So either you follow route 1, right, or you go through route 2, the enthalpy change in the formation of product B is going to remain the same. Okay, so at school, right, and you have to go home after school. So you can take a number of routes to take yourself to your place. Okay, so this is your destination. That's X. You can either go directly without venturing anywhere, right? You'll still reach home, or you can just move around all over the place and then come to your house. The end result is the same. Whether you follow path 1 or path 2, you will end up at your same destination. Okay, so that's what Hess's law is telling us, that the enthalpy change of a particular reaction is going to remain the same, whether you do the reaction in one step or you carry out the reaction in a number of steps. Okay, so let's look at example number 1. In this case, we are supposed to be calculating the enthalpy change for the heat of formation of carbon monoxide. And to calculate the enthalpy change of the formation of carbon monoxide, we are given these two equations, okay, whose enthalpy change is already provided to us. So in your exam, if you are given a couple of equations or even the information like heat of formation of chemical A or heat of formation of chemical B or heat of combustion, then you should be able to write the equations and then you will be manipulating these equations so that we are able to match these equations if are given to the equation whose enthalpy we are finding. So now since we are already given the equations here, we write the equation for the heat of formation of carbon monoxide. So just a recap on this. Heat of formation simply means the amount of energy that is given out or absorbed when 1 mole of the compound is formed from its elements. So that means 1 mole of carbon monoxide is formed from its elements, which is carbon and oxygen. So this is how the equation would look like. Now this is the equation whose enthalpy we are interested in finding. What we will be doing is we will be changing these two equations around so that the particles appear to be on the same side as that given here. So to do that, we look at item by item. Okay. So in our equation whose enthalpy we are finding, we want carbon on the reactant, we want half mole of oxygen on the reactant, and we want carbon monoxide on the product side. And to do that, let's compare with these equations. So in these equations, which equation has carbon? Equation number 1 has carbon, isn't it? And check out the position of the carbon. We want carbon on the reactant side, right? So in the equation 1, we have carbon and it is on the reactant side. So 1 mole of carbon and we want 1 mole of carbon. So that's pretty much the same. So what we will be doing is we will leave equation 1 as it is. Okay. Next, let's look at carbon monoxide. Equation 2 has carbon monoxide and we have carbon monoxide on the product side. So equation 2 has carbon monoxide on the reactant side, but we want it on the product side. So what we will do, we will change this equation around. So we will have to reverse this equation. So let's see what we have decided to do. When we manipulate the equation, we are going to leave equation 1 as it is in this example so that the carbon can remain on the reactant side. Okay, so that is what is going to happen now. And equation 2, we said we are going to reverse it. So when we reverse equation 2, the reactant becomes product and the product becomes reactant. So we will have carbon dioxide giving you carbon monoxide and half mole of oxygen. So now that we have changed the equations around, let's add them. When we add the equations, we put the two equations together and cancel anything that is common on both the sides. So you can see that carbon dioxide on the product cancels with carbon dioxide on the reactant. Half mole of oxygen on the product cancels with half mole of oxygen on the reactant. And we are left with half mole of oxygen. So now bring all the reactants together. We are left with carbon and half mole of oxygen. Now you can see that this equation matches the one that we have here. And that is exactly what we are supposed to be doing. We must make these equations look like this. And the only way we do that is when we change the equations around. So now add the two enthalpy values and your enthalpy change for the heat of formation of carbon monoxide will be negative 111 kilojoules per mole. Per mole because in the heat of formation, 1 mole of carbon monoxide is formed. So that is why we put the appropriate unit. Now in example 2, we are supposed to be calculating the heat of formation of ethane from the following data. Okay, so let's write the equation for the formation of ethane. And this is how the equation will be. All right. So now we need to manipulate these three equations around so that we change these equations into this format here. We want 2 carbon on the reactant side, so we have to change the 2 carbons from here. We need 3 hydrogens on the reactant side and we want 1 mole of ethane on the product side. Okay, so let's check out which equations have the common items. So equation 1 has carbon. Okay, we have 1 mole of carbon on the reactant and we want 2 moles of carbon. So what we will do is we will multiply this equation by 2. Okay, then let's look at hydrogen. We have 1 hydrogen given here and we want 3 moles of hydrogen on the reactant side. So we will multiply this equation by 3. And then we have C2H6 on the reactant side, 2 moles of that. But we want C2H6 on the product side, 1 mole. So we will reverse this equation and then divide it by 2. So now once we do that, this is how the equation will look like. Once we multiply the first equation by 2, we get 2 carbon plus 2 oxygen giving you 2 moles of carbon dioxide. The negative value is also going to change. Okay, and then equation number 2 we are multiplying by 3. This is what we get. Equation number 3, when we are reversing, the reactant becomes product and the product becomes reactant. And then we are dividing the ratios by 2. So every number in front of the chemical, the coefficients need to be divided by 2. So it will give 2 mole of carbon dioxide, 3 moles of water and 1 mole of ethane and 7/2 moles of oxygen. So once we have that, let's cancel things which are common on both the sides. So the first thing that can cancel out is carbon dioxide on the product to carbon dioxide on the reactant. Then we cancel out 3 moles of water on the product to 3 moles of water on the reactant. And then we have oxygen molecules left. Okay, so we have 7/2 moles of oxygen here. Add the 2 moles of oxygen, 2 plus 3/2, you add them up and it will cancel out with 7/2 moles of oxygen. Okay, so now we are left with 2 moles of carbon on the reactant, 3 moles of hydrogen on the reactant and 1 mole of ethane on the product. So when we bring this equation down, this is what we get. So now you can see that this equation and the one that we have here is the same one. Okay, add the 3 enthalpy change values and we get the enthalpy change of formation for ethane as negative 85 kilojoules per mole. Because it is a formation of ethane, then it is 1 mole of ethane forming from its elements. That is why it is per mole. Now let's look at the last example in Hess's law calculation. This time we have to calculate the heat of a reaction for the equation of carbon with water forming carbon monoxide and hydrogen gas. And we are given these three equations, which we are going to manipulate. We'll be looking at the given equation. We want carbon, okay? So we have carbon here in equation number 1, and we have carbon in the equation above. 1 mole of carbon is there, so 1 mole of carbon is present, okay? So we are going to leave equation 1 as it is. When you are answering this kind of question in the exam, write down what changes you are doing to the equation in bracket, so that it will be clear to the examiner when he or she will be marking your paper. Okay. So now, since we are leaving this equation as it is, you can just write it down here as it remains. Now let's look at the second equation. What are we going to do here? So the second equation contains hydrogen. We can either look for hydrogen, or we can check for water, okay, because both of these are common in this equation above. So hydrogen is 1 mole and 1 mole of hydrogen is given here, but we want the hydrogen on the product side, and here the hydrogen is on the reactant side. So we are going to reverse the second equation, and then we look at the last equation. In the last equation there is carbon monoxide, right, on the reactant side. And in the given equation, we have carbon monoxide on the product side. We want carbon monoxide on the product side. So what we will do is to reverse the third equation. Now, once we do all these changes, let's implement the changes. So equation 1 remains as it is, so the enthalpy change value doesn't change. Equation 2 has reversed, so the negative value will become positive value. So does the third equation, so it is going to become a positive value. Now all you have to do is to cancel whatever remains or common on both the sides of the equation. Let's see what are we going to cancel first. The first thing we are going to be cancelling is carbon dioxide on the product side, carbon dioxide on the reactant side. Okay, and then let's look at oxygen. Half oxygen on the product, half oxygen on the product. So half plus half. Remember, if the species are on the same side, you add them. If they are on the opposite side, they will completely get used up. They will cancel out. So half oxygen on the product plus half oxygen on the product. That's 1 mole of oxygen, and 1 mole of oxygen on the reactant. So that cancels out. Carbon, right, on the reactant side, and water on the reactant side. Okay, and on the product side we have hydrogen and carbon monoxide. So when we bring this down, this is what we have: carbon plus water giving you carbon monoxide plus hydrogen gas. Add the three enthalpy change values that are given here. So we are going to add these three up, and the enthalpy change value is going to be positive 130 kilojoules per mole. Again, why I have put per mole? Because if you look at the equation, all the reactants and products are 1 mole. The last method of calculating the enthalpy change for chemical reaction is using bond energy. Bond energy is the minimum energy required to break 1 mole of a bond in the gaseous molecule. So basically it means that all the reactants and product have to be in the gaseous state before the bond has to be broken. Okay? So when the bond is being broken, energy is absorbed. Therefore, we say bond breaking is an endothermic process, and as such, all the bond energy values will always be positive. So just to add up on that information, bond breaking happens on the reactant side, and this is an endothermic process. That means it is requiring energy, while bond forming happens on the product side, which is an exothermic reaction where energy is released. Now the factors which affect the bond energy are bond polarity. As the bond becomes more polar, the bond energy also increases. Bond order is the next factor which affects the bond energy. As the bond order increases, so does the bond energy. Now, bond order can be calculated using this formula. Number of shared electrons divided by 2, and you will get a certain number. That number will tell you which is the number of the double bond or triple bond in the molecule. Okay. So, the third factor which affects the bond energy now is the bond strength. If the bond length is shorter, it is going to be a stronger bond. Therefore, a lot of energy is going to be required to break the bond. So we will expect the bond energy to be higher for shorter bond length. Some of the uses of bond energy are: it is used to indicate if the bond is double, single or triple. It is also used to determine the chemical properties and the bonding. And then it allows us to calculate the enthalpy change in the chemical reaction, which is what we are going to be doing now. So now if you look at one example, how we are going to be using bond energy to calculate the enthalpy change, let's look at the information that we are given. So if you look at Hess's law and compare with the bond energy concept, you will see that in Hess's law we were given some equations and we were supposed to manipulate the equations. But here we are given the bond energy values. So if that is given, enthalpy change is equal to sum of heat of bond broken minus sum of heat of bond formed. So let's recall this. Bond broken is going to be occurring on the reactant side, while bond formation is going to happen on the product side. So let's look at one example here now. In this example, we are going to calculate the enthalpy change for this particular equation. So a word of advice here is, when you are given a question involving bond energy, try to draw a structural formula first. When you draw the structural formula, it will be more clear to you as to what bond is going to be affected in the process. So now I have already done half of the reactant bond structure here. You can see C2H4 is ethene, whose structure is given as such, reacting with chlorine to give you C2H4Cl. Okay, so this is how the structural formula of the compound can be drawn. Right, that's an alkyl halide. So now that we have drawn the product, let's see which bonds appear to be same on the reactant as well as on the product side. You can see this carbon hydrogen bond. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 carbon hydrogen bonds on the reactant side which are same as a carbon hydrogen bond on the product side. So these carbon hydrogen bonds are not affected. They are neither broken nor formed. They remain there. They remain unchanged. So we don't have to do anything to that. What we will do is to break the remaining bond. So the remaining bond that will be broken on the reactant side will be this bond here. Okay, that's one carbon double bond whose enthalpy change bond energy is given here. Carbon double bond energy is 612 kilojoules per mole. And then we will be breaking this bond here, carbon single bond, right? Chlorine single bond. So the chlorine single bond energy is 243 kilojoules per mole. So now once we do that, this is how we write the information. In the exam paper, this is how you will be writing it. So you will write down the chlorine to the chlorine bond. One bond is broken whose value is 243 plus the carbon-carbon double bond. One of that is broken whose value is 612. So add these values up and you get the bond, the energy of bond broken as 855 kilojoules. So that is the amount of energy that is absorbed when the bond is broken on the reactant side. Now let's see what is happening on the product side. On the product side, this is a new bond that is formed, a CC single bond. So a carbon-carbon single bond has a value of 348, right? And then the other bond is formed is the between the carbon and the chlorine. So the carbon and the chlorine, that's 1 and that's 2. So carbon chlorine, 2 of the bond is broken and each one's value is 339. So let's write the information now. Bond formed on the product side. First one, the carbon to the chlorine bond. So the carbon to the chlorine bond is this one. There are 2 carbon chlorine bond formed. So 2 multiplied by 339. And then the carbon-carbon single bond. 1 multiplied by 348. Add this up and the amount of energy released is 1026 kilojoules. Now we use the formula delta H is equal to sum of energy of bond broken minus sum of energy of bond formed. So all you have to do is substitute in the values and the enthalpy change comes to negative 171 kilojoules per mole because all the reactants and products are in 1 mole. Okay, let's look at another example. This time we are already given the structural equation, so we don't have to do anything to that. All we have to do is to figure out which bonds are not affected. Okay, which bonds remain same on the reactant and product side. So I'm going to highlight that bit. Carbon to a CH3 bond. Okay, so we have a carbon to a CH3 bond here and a carbon to a CH3 bond. Okay, so there are two carbon to a CH3 bond which is not going to be broken. Any other bond that is not going to be broken? Let's check it out. Okay, so we have a carbon to a hydrogen bond as well. Okay, so we have a carbon to a hydrogen bond here and another carbon to a hydrogen bond. Okay, so we have another carbon to a hydrogen bond. So these bonds which are highlighted in yellow, they are unchanged. If we look at the reactants, okay, let's expand this one. Hydrogen is a single bonded compound. Now the bonds which are being broken, the carbon-carbon double bond. So that's carbon-carbon double bond that is being broken. And the hydrogen-hydrogen single bond is broken. So let's see. Bond broken, carbon-carbon double bond. One of that is broken. So 1 multiplied by 612. Okay, so this is the 612 whose value is given there. Plus hydrogen-hydrogen bond. One of that multiplied by 436. So 436 hydrogen-hydrogen bond. Okay, add this up and we get the bond energy of 1048 kilojoules of energy that is being absorbed in order to break these bonds. Now let's look at on the product side what bonds are being formed. A carbon-carbon single bond is forming here and a carbon to a hydrogen bond. So that's one and this is another one. So altogether we have a carbon to a hydrogen bond. There are two of them. So 2 times 413. And then we have, okay, so this is the carbon-carbon hydrogen bond. 2 times 413. And then we have a carbon-carbon single bond. So a carbon-carbon single bond data is 348. 1 times 348. Add them up and the amount of energy released is 1174 kilojoules. And now let's calculate the enthalpy change. So the enthalpy change is equal to sum of energy of bond broken minus sum of energy of bond formed. So 1048 minus 1174 and we get a value of negative 126 kilojoules per mole because it is 1 mole of a compound. So this is how questions in the exam on bond energy can be solved. Okay, in your exam paper, and the only way you can get this is if you are writing the equation in the structural formula. With a pencil, you can circle which bonds are not affected and then you will be only focusing on the bonds that are being broken and the ones that are being formed. Let's see, the first question for today's lesson is, okay, let's see if you are able to solve this question. You can pause the video, do your working, and then you can cross-check your answer with one that is provided here. So let's check out your answers. Enthalpy change is 1048 kilojoules, negative 1048 kilojoules. The second question, again, you can work this one out, pause the video and see if your answer matches the one that is given here. Right, so your answer comes to negative 965 kilojoules. Well, students, so that brings us to the end of this video and I hope you have learned quite a deal as to how you use thermochemical equations in calculations. At the same time, I hope you have been able to summarize and compare and contrast the 4 methods of calculating enthalpy change of a particular reaction. So let's just summarize the 4 sets of information. The first one we learned was calorimetry. The second one we learned was enthalpy change is equal to sum of heat of the product minus sum of heat of the reactant. The third one was using Hess's law to calculate the enthalpy change, and the fourth was using bond energy to calculate the enthalpy change. So students, take care. Bye.